Have you ever wondered whether there are things better left unsaid, even with your closest family members? As someone who has lived through decades of life's ups and downs, I've learned that some parts of our lives are best kept private. Not because of shame or guilt, but because it helps maintain harmony and allows relationships to flourish without unnecessary misunderstandings. In today's video, I'll share with you 5 things that, in my experience, you should consider keeping a secret from your family. These aren't about deception but rather about protecting your peace of mind and the bonds you hold dear. Make sure you stick around until the end because each point comes with its own perspective that could save you from potential conflict and stress. These lessons will help you enjoy a more peaceful and fulfilling relationship with your loved ones. Before we begin, if this sounds like the kind of content you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button for vibrant living and turn on notifications so you never miss our tips on living fully at every age. Your support truly helps us reach more people looking to make their golden years healthier and happier. Let's dive in. Point 1. Past mistakes you've made. When it comes to past mistakes, I've come to realize that some things are better left unsaid. Over the years, we all make decisions that, looking back, weren't the best. Maybe it was a financial misstep, a missed opportunity, or a personal choice we regret. These moments are a natural part of life, and while they've shaped us into who we are today, sharing them with our families doesn't always bring the understanding or relief we might hope for. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I thought it would be a good idea to open up to my children about some of the decisions I made when I was their age. I wanted to give them a sense of my struggles, show them that even parents are human, and maybe offer some wisdom. I shared about a failed business venture I pursued in my 30s, one that left me with a mountain of debt. It was a tough time in my life, but I eventually recovered and learned a lot from the experience. I thought my kids would see it as a life lesson, proof that persistence and hard work pay off. Instead, I noticed something unexpected. My children started looking at me differently. They were surprised that I had ever been in such a tough spot, and rather than feeling inspired, they seemed to feel uneasy. My daughter even started worrying about whether I had made similar decisions recently and whether it might impact the family's financial future. What was meant to be a bonding moment turned into unnecessary concern and awkwardness. You see, there's no need for your loved ones to carry the weight of your past mistakes. They weren't there, and they didn't experience the full context of your choices. What might feel like a lesson to you could feel like a burden to them. It's important to remember that our mistakes are part of our personal growth. They're not a reflection of who we are now, but rather stepping stones that helped us grow into the people we've become. Keeping these stories to ourselves doesn't mean we're hiding who we are. It simply means we're choosing not to dredge up the past in ways that could cause unnecessary worry, or even change how our loved ones see us. Instead of sharing the details, focus on the wisdom those experiences taught you. Offer advice and guidance without the heavy backstory. For example, if you've learned the value of financial prudence through a tough time, share that value with your family without diving into the painful details. It's also worth noting that sharing mistakes can sometimes backfire by making us appear hypocritical. Imagine telling your children not to take on unnecessary debt, while also admitting you made a huge financial blunder in your youth. They might dismiss your advice, thinking, "Well, you did it and came out okay." Keeping those details private allows your guidance to come across with authority, and without distraction. Another consideration is that revisiting old mistakes can stir up feelings of regret or guilt within ourselves. Over time, I've realized that letting go of the past is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. By keeping certain stories private, we're not ignoring our mistakes. We're simply choosing to focus on the present and the positive aspects of our relationships with our loved ones. That being said, there are exceptions. If a past mistake directly impacts someone in the family, or if sharing your story can genuinely prevent them from making the same error, it may be worth considering. For example, if you struggled with gambling in the past and notice a family member showing similar tendencies, a carefully shared personal story might help them see the potential consequences. The key is to approach the situation thoughtfully, ensuring the conversation is helpful rather than burdensome. Ultimately, our families love us for who we are now, not for every detail of the journey that brought us here. There's a certain peace in keeping some parts of our lives private, especially when sharing might cause worry or misunderstanding. So, as you reflect on your own past, ask yourself, is this story truly helpful to share, or is it better kept as a personal reminder of how far you've come? Point 2. Your financial details. As we age, one of the most important lessons I've learned is the value of keeping certain financial details to yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for transparency, especially when it comes to estate planning or ensuring your loved ones are prepared for the future. But sharing too much about your finances can sometimes lead to unnecessary complications, misunderstandings, and even tension within your family. Let me share a story to illustrate what I mean. A few years ago, my neighbor, Joe, confided in me about a situation with his adult children. Joe had always been meticulous with his money. He saved diligently, invested wisely, and lived a modest life. One day, during a family dinner, he decided to share his financial success with his children, hoping to inspire them to adopt similar habits. He proudly told them about the size of his savings, the investments he had made, and his plans for retirement. To Joe's surprise, his openness sparked an unexpected reaction. His eldest son began to rely on the idea of an inheritance, even making financial decisions based on what he assumed he would one day receive. His daughter, on the other hand, felt resentment, believing that Joe's financial stability meant he could, and should, help her more with her expenses. What was meant to be a positive conversation about financial prudence ended up straining family dynamics. You see, money is a sensitive topic. Sharing too much detail about your finances can unintentionally create feelings of entitlement, jealousy, or dependence within your family. It can also lead to pressure from loved ones to contribute financially in ways you may not feel comfortable with. For instance, a child might assume that because you're financially secure, you can easily co-sign a loan or provide substantial financial assistance. Saying no in such situations becomes far more complicated when your financial situation is no longer private. Additionally, sharing your financial details can sometimes shift the way your family views you. Instead of seeing you as their parent, grandparent, or elder, they may begin to see you as a financial resource. That shift, though subtle, can erode the emotional foundation of your relationships and make interactions feel transactional rather than genuine. Now, this doesn't mean you should keep your financial details entirely hidden. It's important to have an open line of communication with the right people, like your spouse, a trusted financial advisor, or the executor of your estate. When it comes to your children or grandchildren, focus on sharing the lessons you've learned about money management rather than the specific numbers. For example, instead of saying, "I've saved $500,000, you could say, "Living within my means and saving consistently has given me peace of mind in my later years." This approach allows you to impart valuable financial wisdom without creating unintended expectations or stress. It also helps to set boundaries. If you do choose to discuss financial matters, make it clear what your intentions are and what your limits might be. For instance, if you've set aside a portion of your savings to support a child's education or a grandchild's wedding, clarify that this is a one-time gift, not an open invitation to your wallet. Another reason to keep financial details private is the potential risk of family disagreements or disputes. As much as we'd like to believe that money won't come between loved ones, it can, especially when expectations or misunderstandings arise. By keeping financial discussions general, you minimize the chances of conflict and ensure that your family relationships remain grounded in mutual love and respect. Lastly, let's not forget about the importance of protecting your financial security. In some unfortunate cases, seniors are taken advantage of by those they trust most. This could be due to pressure, manipulation, or even elder financial abuse. By keeping your financial details to yourself, you reduce the risk of such situations and maintain control over your resources. In summary, while it's crucial to have a plan for your finances and communicate that plan with the appropriate individuals, not every family member needs to know every detail. Share wisdom, not numbers. Focus on fostering healthy relationships built on trust, not financial expectations. And remember, your financial stability is something you've worked hard for. It's a tool for your independence, not a subject for family debate. Point 3. Your private health concerns. As we get older, our health naturally becomes a more significant part of our daily lives. But not every detail about our health needs to be shared with our family. Keeping certain health concerns private isn't about being secretive. It's about maintaining your dignity, autonomy, and peace of mind while navigating your golden years. Let me tell you about a dear friend of mine, Margaret. Margaret was in her mid-70s when she started noticing some changes in her mobility. Her knees were stiff in the mornings, and she found it a bit harder to climb stairs. Instead of quietly seeking medical advice, she mentioned it during a family gathering. What she thought was a casual comment turned into a flood of advice, unsolicited opinions, and even worry from her adult children. One of her sons immediately assumed the worst and began researching assisted living facilities. Her daughter, a self-proclaimed health expert, insisted on a list of supplements and exercises Margaret should start doing right away. Margaret told me later that what she hoped would be a small moment of connection with her family turned into something overwhelming. Instead of feeling supported, she felt smothered, as though her health had become a family project rather than her personal journey. This isn't to say that you should never share your health concerns with your family. There are times when transparency is crucial, especially if you need their help or when a condition could impact them, such as hereditary illnesses. However, it's equally important to consider what you share and when. Being selective about your health information can help you avoid unnecessary worry and keep your relationships balanced. Why keep some health concerns private? For starters, sharing every ache, pain, or diagnosis can lead to overreactions from loved ones. Your family might mean well, but their responses can sometimes feel overwhelming. They may start treating you differently, either hovering over you with concern or making assumptions about what you can or cannot do. Suddenly, a minor issue like arthritis in your hand becomes a topic at every family dinner, with people saying, "Oh, let me help you with that," even when you don't need assistance. Keeping some health matters private also allows you the space to process your emotions without external pressure. When you first receive news about a diagnosis or symptom, it's natural to feel a range of emotions: fear, sadness, hope, or even determination. By keeping the information to yourself for a little while, you give yourself time to process and make informed decisions about how you want to handle the situation. Once you feel more grounded, you can decide whether sharing with your family is the right choice. Another reason to keep certain health concerns private is the importance of maintaining independence. For many seniors, independence is a deeply personal and cherished value. When health issues are shared too freely, it can sometimes invite unsolicited help that feels more like interference. Your family may mean well, but being treated as though you're incapable can chip away at your confidence and autonomy. Instead of sharing every detail, consider talking to a trusted healthcare provider. Doctors and specialists are there to provide guidance without the emotional weight that family members often bring into the equation. You can also seek out support groups or community organizations that specialize in your specific health concerns. These spaces can provide a sense of understanding and connection without affecting your family dynamics. When you do decide to share health information with your family, it's important to frame the conversation thoughtfully. For example, instead of saying, "I've been feeling weak lately," you might say, "I'm working with my doctor to improve my strength and mobility." This subtle shift in language shows your family that you're taking proactive steps, which can reassure them and keep the conversation focused on solutions rather than worries. Finally, remember that not every health concern defines you. Sharing certain details may inadvertently lead your family to see you through the lens of your illness rather than as the vibrant individual you are. By keeping some matters private, you allow your family to focus on your shared moments and the joy you bring into their lives, rather than fixating on your challenges. In summary, your health is personal, and it's up to you to decide what and when to share. Maintaining boundaries around your health concerns can give you the space to handle issues on your terms, preserve your independence, and nurture relationships that are rooted in love and respect rather than worry. If you've ever found yourself navigating the tricky waters of sharing health information, let me know by commenting too below. Now, let's move on to our next tip. Point 4. Opinions about family dynamics. Family dynamics can be one of the most sensitive topics, no matter how old we are. By the time you reach your 70s and beyond, you've likely seen your fair share of disagreements, rivalries, and misunderstandings within your family. Sharing your honest opinions about these dynamics can often create more harm than good. Sometimes, the wisest choice is to observe, support where you can, and keep certain thoughts to yourself. I learned this the hard way with my own family. My two daughters, Susan and Emily, have always been close but very different in their approaches to life. Susan is a planner, someone who likes everything mapped out and organized. Emily, on the other hand, is more spontaneous and free-spirited. Over the years, I noticed their differences sometimes caused tension. I remember a Thanksgiving dinner where Susan made a detailed plan for the day, but Emily arrived late with no warning, throwing the schedule into chaos. Susan was visibly upset, and a minor argument ensued. As their father, I felt an urge to step in and mediate. After dinner, I pulled Emily aside and suggested she should be more considerate of Susan's efforts. What I thought was a helpful nudge turned into a defensive response. Emily felt I was taking sides, and it strained our relationship for a while. Reflecting on that moment, I realized that my intention to help only added fuel to the fire. It taught me that sometimes, it's better to stay neutral and let family members work through their dynamics on their own. Why is it better to keep your opinions about family dynamics to yourself? First, your perspective is naturally influenced by your experiences and relationships with individual family members. What seems like helpful advice to one person might feel like criticism to another. Offering unsolicited opinions can inadvertently make someone feel judged or misunderstood, even if your intentions are good. Second, family conflicts often have layers you may not fully see or understand. For example, Susan and Emily's disagreement wasn't just about the Thanksgiving schedule, it reflected deeper differences in how they approach life. By commenting on the surface issue, I missed the bigger picture and unintentionally escalated the situation. When it comes to family dynamics, what you don't say can sometimes be more powerful than what you do. Keeping your opinions to yourself doesn't mean ignoring your family's struggles. It means finding ways to support them without inserting yourself into the middle of their conflicts. For instance, instead of taking sides, you can offer a listening ear. When Susan and Emily had another disagreement a few years later, I chose a different approach. I sat with each of them individually, listened to their feelings without judgment, and offered general encouragement rather than specific advice. This allowed them to vent and feel heard without adding my opinions to the mix. Another reason to stay quiet about family dynamics is to preserve your role as a trusted figure. When you express strong opinions about one person's behavior, it can create resentment and damage your relationship with them. On the other hand, being a neutral, supportive presence allows you to remain a unifying force within the family. Your neutrality can help create an environment where others feel safe to share and resolve their issues without fear of judgment. It's also important to remember that family dynamics often evolve over time. Siblings who clash today may grow closer in the future, and unresolved conflicts can sometimes find resolution in unexpected ways. By refraining from intervening, you give your family members the space to navigate their relationships and grow on their own terms. That said, there are moments when stepping in may be necessary, such as when conflicts escalate to the point of harm, or when someone explicitly asks for your input. In these cases, tread carefully. Frame your observations as questions or suggestions rather than definitive judgments. For example, instead of saying, "You were wrong to do that," try, "Have you thought about how that might feel from their perspective?" This approach fosters dialogue without assigning blame. In conclusion, keeping your opinions about family dynamics to yourself is often the best way to maintain harmony and preserve your relationships. It allows your family members to grow and resolve their differences without feeling judged or controlled. Instead of offering opinions, focus on being a steady, supportive presence who brings people together. Point 5. Your personal habits, including masturbation. As we age, maintaining a sense of privacy becomes more important than ever, particularly when it comes to deeply personal habits. Among these, the subject of masturbation can be especially sensitive, yet it's an important topic to address in the context of what to keep private. While openness and transparency are valuable in relationships, some aspects of our personal lives are best left undisclosed, even to our closest family members. I remember an old friend, George, who once confided in me about a somewhat awkward situation he experienced with his son. George was always very open with his family, and as he aged, he believed in breaking taboos around conversations about health and aging. One evening, he casually mentioned that masturbation had been helping him relieve stress and cope with some of the challenges of aging. While George meant well, his son's reaction wasn't what he expected. Instead of understanding, his son appeared visibly uncomfortable, and their conversation took an awkward turn. George later regretted sharing something so personal, realizing that it had created unnecessary tension in their relationship. This story highlights an important lesson: not every aspect of our lives needs to be shared. Personal habits like masturbation fall into the category of private matters, and disclosing them often brings discomfort, or even misunderstanding. Here's why maintaining discretion around such topics can be beneficial for your relationships and your peace of mind. First, discussing personal habits of this nature can challenge the boundaries of comfort for your family members. No matter how open-minded they are, your children or grandchildren may struggle to reconcile the image of you as their elder and the candid details of your private life. This is not because they don't care, but because these topics cross into a deeply personal space that doesn't need to be shared. By keeping such habits private, you avoid unnecessary embarrassment or discomfort for yourself and your loved ones. Second, discussing private habits can unintentionally change how others perceive you. Family members may begin to feel that their relationship with you is shifting into territory they're not equipped to handle. For instance, sharing intimate details might lead them to view you through a different lens, one that could inadvertently create distance instead of fostering closeness. Maintaining a boundary around personal habits helps preserve the respect and admiration they feel for you, ensuring that your relationship remains grounded in mutual understanding and care. Let's also consider the broader perspective of personal dignity. Privacy is a key element of preserving your sense of self-worth and autonomy. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you reinforce your own boundaries and remind yourself that it's okay to have parts of your life that belong solely to you. This doesn't mean you're hiding anything. It simply means you're exercising your right to choose what to share and what to keep to yourself. Another reason to keep habits like masturbation private is to avoid unnecessary misinterpretation or judgment. Family members may not understand your perspective, especially if they associate such habits with outdated stigmas or assumptions. For example, some may misinterpret your actions as a sign of loneliness or poor mental health, even if your habits are simply part of a healthy and balanced life. By not sharing such details, you prevent potential misunderstandings and allow your family to focus on the broader aspects of your well-being. Of course, maintaining privacy doesn't mean ignoring your needs or failing to seek help if you face challenges. If you feel your habits are affecting your mental or physical health, speaking with a trusted doctor or therapist is always a good step. Healthcare professionals are equipped to provide guidance without judgment, ensuring you can address any concerns in a safe and supportive environment. Finally, remember that privacy is a form of self-respect. By keeping personal habits private, you demonstrate confidence in your ability to navigate your life independently. It reinforces the idea that you are capable of managing your needs while maintaining healthy and respectful relationships with your family. In conclusion, keeping your personal habits, including masturbation, private is not about shame or secrecy. It's about maintaining boundaries that foster healthy relationships and personal dignity. Your family doesn't need to know every detail of your private life, and by keeping certain topics to yourself, you create space for open, meaningful interactions that focus on the shared experiences and values that truly matter. If you've ever struggled with deciding what to share and what to keep private, comment 3 below to let me know you're still here and engaged in this conversation. So, there you have it, 5 things to consider keeping a secret from your family for the sake of peace and harmony. Whether it's past mistakes, financial details, minor health concerns, opinions on family dynamics, or deeply personal habits, choosing what to share and what to keep private is a skill that can enhance your relationships and protect your emotional well-being. Thank you for spending your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to bringing you more content that inspires growth, joy, and purpose. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.